Brian and Tarasa Hurley will be one of 6 sessions during the lab in Dallas on August 29th. They'll be showing exactly how they've been using deep research to enhance their human-centric experience with their real estate team. They are leveraging AI not only to replace some of their busy work, but also enhance their deeply personal and human-first service. So during their session at the lab, they'll walk through real life examples of how they're using AI to streamline some of their most time consuming and painful parts of their process without losing their personal touch. So Brian and Teresa, we're so excited to have you at the lab, and thank you for taking some time to share a sneak peek of what you'll be showcasing at the lab. Let's dive into the first question of what inspired you to start creating these solutions. What was the problem or problems that you were experiencing?
You know, as real estate agents and as team owners, we're kind of inundated with a lot of things that come at us constantly. And we were seeing that AI could really help solve some of these issues, not our interpersonal relationship with our clients or our agents, but really some of the kind of trials and just tribulations and busy work that we were seeing just pile up, especially when you're a high producing team. So some of these tools just really made it easier for us to spend more time doing what we needed to do, which was being in front of our clients instead of being stuck at our computers doing busy work.
Yeah, and I love that you're going to be sharing 3 or 4 real life examples. So what were some of the solutions you and Brian together built together?
It's so funny because when Brian and I work together, it's kind of, I come up with a problem and I'm like, this is horrible. How do we fix this? And then he has his brilliant moment. He's just like, give me a minute. Let me code something. So he came up with these really great tools. So one of them, I guess the first one we'll start with is property valuations. Our area, which is Pittsburgh, has some of the highest stock of houses that are extremely old. So our housing stock can range something from a house from like the 1800s to a house that was just built down the street, and they are not comparable. So doing home evaluations through automated means can be very, very difficult in our area and a lot of times very incorrect. So Brian built a tool to help with that. Brian?
Yeah, so I'll echo it is very difficult in our market. There was just an article that came out that mentioned that whole oldness of our housing stock. But it goes beyond that. If you're on the East Coast or in an older state, you often have problems where you have these zip codes that are really small. You have municipalities that do not map very well to the zip codes. And that also makes these automated algorithms, whether it's Zillow, HomeBot, whatever, they're often very inaccurate for these things. And we also have a lot of really unique properties. We might have a 100, 150-year-old property in the city, or we might have a farm off somewhere that's actually only like half an hour away. And these things are so different that we often have a very difficult time valuing things. And Teresa would give me the task. She'd say, okay, we need to come up with a value for this. There's almost no comps. All the automated valuations are crazy. They're not going to make the client happy. How are we going to make the client happy? How are we going to give them something accurate and give them something they can feel like they can trust and go with as us as trusted advisors trying to tell them what to do or give them the advice of what to do. So I'd go through and I'd take hours. I'd do all this really intensive research and I'd come up with something, and it was great. But it took me hours, and I already have way more things I need to be doing other than this. So as soon as deep research became a thing, I started experimenting with using deep research to do these valuations. And I found it to be tremendous. It saves me a huge amount of time. It doesn't do it for me, but it does a lot of it for me. What used to take hours takes 20 minutes or half an hour. And when I do the valuations, they're not perfect to start. So a key with AI, in my opinion, is always being a little bit skeptical. You need to look at it and make sure that it makes sense to you. We're the experts. The AI is not the expert. It is a tool. So you often have to look at what it produces and then go a couple rounds with it to get the right thing. And so I would use AI deep research to do these valuations. I would tune them over time. And eventually we made a tool so I could just pop them in there and it does all the tuning that I would normally do. It turns out the tuning was pretty much the same kind of tuning every time. But now within 20 minutes, we have a really, really great report. something we can give to clients, and they're bowled away by how detailed it is. And it covers a lot of different aspects. A lot of things that I oftentimes, when I did the valuations, I missed some things. I didn't consider certain aspects of valuation that lots and lots of deep research searches were able to ferret out. So that has been really great for us. It's also really great to help you support an assertion that you have. A lot of times you have a gut feeling based upon your experience as a real estate agent of what something is valued for, but you don't have a good way to support it. And you can use deep research to help you support it. You literally ask it, this is where I want to target. This is where I believe it should be targeted and why. Help me support this argument. And it will. And when you have support for the argument, it's very easy to go into a client and prove to them this is a good idea, because how can you deny all this great support? I'm the one who comes up with a lot of these reports, but Trace is the one who delivers it. So you can really speak to that directly.
So when you deliver a report to someone and you give them a number that is unexpected and you cannot produce facts behind it to help support that number, you're fighting an uphill battle all the time. So when I come and I know that we've done this research and it's very, very accurate, and I source that we've gone to 8 different places to get it, here are all the comps, here's how they were supported, here's everything in the last 3 years, here's everything in your geographic region, here's how this kitchen was better than this percentage-wise. When I give them that much data, it is very hard for them to be like, I think you're wrong. It's like, most of the time it's, wow, you know my house better than me at this point. Yeah, you're right. Let's list it at that. I trust you. And that's our job, is to create that trust very, very quickly, because that's how we win the listings. And listings still are a competition with other agents. I am going to win that listing against other people, and I need to have my data so secure and my marketing for this property so perfect that there's no way that the other agents can compete with me. And then my client is an agreement with where we should start, what plan I should do, and then I know we're going to be successful.
Yeah. Can I use
The
that? Because I'm
human-centric
not
thing.
even confident that I bought our house at the right price. I mean, so as an example, like there's we live in a very unique, not even a full subdivision. It's like 2 random streets. These are the only houses that are in this size lots in this entire huge city. And the last home that sold in our neighborhood was 3 years ago, and it was this house. So there was no house to comp it against. So I don't even know what this home was worth, and we just kind of guessed with the seller what the home was worth. So I'd be very curious to use your tool. So that's really cool.
Well, you have a really good point. A really good point, because it works for buyers too. Sometimes buyers will say, well, I want to offer this really low ball price, and you need to support, hey, wait a second here. The land on which this house sits is worth almost as much as what you want to offer as is without anything on it. And you can show them that research if you use the tools in the opposite direction. But it's key to use the feedback from the clients. And this is the human-centric approach. So what Tarasa will typically do when she's doing a listing appointment, or even when she's talking to the buyer, she will get information from them, the really detailed information about what they care about or what they think they have. So if they have a house they really love that they're selling, there's some unique aspect that they think is the best, and they want to tell you all about it, or they want to tell you all about all the things they replaced recently, whatever. That information we feed into the deep research. So if someone thinks really highly of their house, they really care about something custom that they did, we make sure that that is addressed in the report, because they care about it so much. When they see that we cared about it too, it really makes them trust us much more. Like, hey, we actually listened to them. So this doesn't look generic. And that's one downside of this report, is that it's very textual, but one upside is it's very tailored. It isn't some generic thing that you just popped out of a tool. They perceive that you wrote it by yourself and did all the research. And when they read it, it comes off that way, because how could this be automated? It literally comes from your discussions with them.
Another great example. I had someone who I just did a listing presentation for, and I got it. But he's a tennis court in his backyard. That's uncommon. But not only is that uncommon, that does not, it's not an apples to apples. Like, he's like, I paid $70,000 for this this tennis court. Well, that's awesome, but it does not resell at 70,000. It resales for about 45,000. So when I can show that in the report, not only did I talk about it because it's important to him, but I showed him that that isn't an apples to apples comparison with reselling it now. We're going to get about 45,000 of that 70,000 that he invested. But because I can show it, I'm much more trustworthy for him being in agreement of, yeah, I guess that makes sense. You're right. It wouldn't be an apples to apples. I guess this price is correct. It makes it easier for me to do my job too. Nobody wants to list a house that is $200,000 over what the comps say it is. That means we have a sign in the front yard that sits there forever that looks terrible. And then people call you, hey, what's going on with your listing? That one must really have something wrong. It's like, maybe it doesn't have anything wrong, but the fact is if it stays on the market a certain amount of times, it stigmatizes. So we want properties that are hot, that move quickly, because A, it makes us look good, B, it makes our clients happy, and we want to deliver the fact that they've had this great experience. Nobody wants to have their house listed for 7 months. I mean, we might be going back towards a market like that, but nobody is coming to you with the expectation of, great, I'm going to sell this house next year. No, they're coming to you because they're like, I'm trusting you to get this job done.
I know you're going to be sharing two or three other examples. I don't want you to give away everything, but give me one other use case or solution that you built from a problem that you had.
I've got a great example because I've got this example. It's probably going to hit me today. So we built a tool that helps us identify what in an inspection report is the necessary things and what things are not as necessary. As first-time home buyers, a lot of people get that inspection report and it is packed. It is page after page after page of this is what is wrong with this house, and it scares people. It's not presented in a way that makes them feel warm and fuzzy about this house that they just chose to buy. So we built a tool to help analyze how bad this inspection report actually is. And for the most part, it comes back with a report that says, it's not that bad. We can manage this. We just need to look at these 3 things that we need to ask for repairs or something like that. But it summarizes it into a much more digestible chunk for our buyers so that they're not scared off so easily. Brian, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of that will include a table of here are the major items and here's what they would cost, because people have a really crazy idea in their head of what things cost. They heard about a roof going bad and needing replaced and it cost $30,000. Well, roofs don't cost $30,000 for most people's houses.
Here.
They cost $30,000 for a gigantic house. They don't cost $30,000 for the average house in an area. But people don't know that. What they know is what they heard. You know, a friend or a friend of a friend had this happen and it was a huge disaster. Or they have to replace all the windows in the house and it costs this huge amount of money. So a lot of times we just need to show them what reality is and give them a really good number of what to expect. And once they know what to expect, instead of having this crazy idea in their head that they don't have any real knowledge or background to justify, they realize, oh, it's actually not that bad. There's sometimes you have issues that prop up and you might have 10 pages of things and they're all really just tiny little things that you send a plumber in there, an electrician in there, and a couple $100 later, they're all done. So those kind of things don't scare people in reality when they understand that that's what's going to happen. A lot of these things will be fixed before they even move in. So by being, it's a client-centric, a human-centric thing. We're trying to make sure that people feel comfortable, they feel supported, and they're given accurate data. And we don't want to scare them. Inspectors' jobs are to find everything, and they want to give these big, huge, detailed reports. But people are not experts in everything. And that's, I think the thing we always need to remember is that if Teresa's a real estate agent and she's talking about real estate to somebody, there's a lot of jargon. And jargon isn't understood by a lot of people. And the same thing in my industry with doing software development. When I'm talking to someone who's not in my field, there's a lot of jargon, and we need to be cognizant of talking to people where they're at in the language that they're used to hearing. And that's what these tools are for. And they're all based upon prompts that anyone can use. We just decided to make them into tools because we use them enough that it's annoying to have to type in the prompt every time and try to tweak it. So we made it a little bit more streamlined.
example. This was my buyer, Jessica. They had been looking for like 6 months for a house and they wanted a very specific area. So they got this, we put a house under contract. We got the inspection report and they immediately like freaked out. They're like, oh my gosh, everything's wrong with this house. We can't buy this. Like, this is terrible. So we use this tool to be able to identify the things that are important, the things that are not important, the things that are just maintenance items. And then we calculated based off of, it's like, okay, this house at this price range in this area that you really wanted, it is unlikely we're only going to see a house like this in your price range come up about 4 more times in the next 6 months. Do you want to wait for those next 4 to come up, or do you want to make this one work? And that was what turned it right there. They were like, oh, never mind. We really want to be here. We'll make this work. And that sometimes that's how you have to turn it around and explain it to people. It's like, not only does it say what things are important on this house and what things are not important, but it's like, what's the likelihood of finding this house again in your price range with this kind of square footage? And I think that was one of the awesome things that they saw that immediately made them switch their tune. It's like, oh, yeah, we don't want to wait anymore. We'll just have the 3 windows redone on this floor and it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know during your session, I'm going to be taking so many notes, and I know it'll be one of my favorites. Maybe I'm trying not to play favorites, but it's going to be in the top two or three at minimum. During your session, what will you be sharing? Will you be sharing how to create these tools? Will you be giving people prompts? What will that look like?
I think it's going to be more along the lines of prompts, because I think that we want to give away something that people can actually take and use. I don't want to say, we built this tool and no, you can't have it. What I want to do is I want to say, we built this tool and here's what underlies that tool. And here's how you can use the core concepts to do the same kind of thing that we do. And maybe show some examples of what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and what you can get out of it. To add to Trace's previous point, another great example for this kind of thing is negotiation. I think in that Jessica case, we had a really solid list of this is how much things cost.
We did.
And I think you actually just got money off the house.
Yep, I think we ended up getting like $10,000 off the price of that house because I presented her with that, the other agent on the other side. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're right. She's like, we have to come down in price. Like, yep. It just, for our jobs as real estate agents, the more information, the more proof we have that we're right. We're not lawyers, but I always say it's kind of like being a lawyer. Like, I can't go in front of a jury without proof and be like, trust me. I have to go in with so much ammo, basically, so much proof, so much information that the other side is bowing to me saying, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, we can do this. So it's great on all sides to have more information.
That's so cool. Brian and Tarasa, I'm so looking forward to your session. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to grab your seat. If you're watching this on social media, click the link somewhere in the comments or somewhere in the post. There's a link somewhere. So looking forward to seeing you in Dallas. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in a couple months.